Hello friends, good morning. Today let us discuss what is workload identity in GKE in detail. Okay, so, sorry. But before going what is workload identity, please make sure that you have enabled workload identity to get it working. How you can enable? You can enable in two ways. One is file creating GKE cluster. Another way is existing GKE cluster. Okay, so there is video that I have already made. You can check that how to enable GKE workload identity. But before working with workload identity, let us discuss what is this. Okay, so in short, if you configure it in your GKE cluster, your all GKE services would be able to authenticate to other GCP APIs, for example, BigQuery, PubSub, etc. Right? So you don't need to maintain and manage the keys. Okay. Let us discuss it in a different perspective. One is how your GK services authenticate themselves. Okay, so that means what are the other authentication approach in GK? There are two primary methods. One is service account keys as secret. Another is node service account keys. Node service account keys is not recommended at all. Let us discuss the first one, service account keys as secret. Okay, so if you use service account keys as secret, as a developer you could generate individual IAM service account for each application and then download and store the keys as Kubernetes secret that you manually rotate, right? So not only this process is burdensome, but service account keys only expire every 10 years or until you manually rotate them. This is pretty much risky, right? In this case of breach or compromise, an unaccounted for key could mean prolonged access for an attacker. Very risky. This potential blind spot plus the management overhead of key inventory and rotation makes using service account keys as secret a less than ideal method for authenticating GKE workloads. Alright, that is why Google recommend another approach. So what is the most secure way? This is workload identity for GKE services. Okay, what is workload identity now? So this allows workload in your GKE cluster to impersonate IAM service account to access Google Cloud services. And you know IAM service account is the account that you provide roles and permissions to access to connect with other APIs from GKE. Please note that you would need IAM service account, you would need GKE service account, but you will not need is exporting the key job service account. You would need service account but not keys. So you don't need to export the keys if you are going to use workload identity. So how it works? Workload identity allows a Kubernetes service account in your GKE cluster to act as an IAM service account. Right, supports that use the configure Kubernetes service account automatically authenticate as the IAM service account when accessing Google Cloud APIs. Using workload identity allows you to assign distinct, fine-grained identities and authorizations for each application in your cluster. Right, so you would need two things, as I told, Kubernetes service account plus IAM service account. Your Kubernetes service account would act as IAM service account, and IAM service account will have all the roles and permissions. In this way, you would not require any service account keys. Why we should use workload identity? Workload identity is the recommended way for your workloads running on GKE to access Google Cloud services in a secure and managed way, right? Why I say this? I don't say this. This is recommended by Google itself. Okay, so workload identity is the recommended way for workloads running on GKE on Kubernetes access, right? Another thing, if you are security concerned, herein Google suggests you to go with workload identity is recommended. The most secure way to authorize ports to access Google Cloud resources is with workload identity. Workload identity allows a Kubernetes service account to run as an IAM service account. Parts that run as Kubernetes service account have the permissions of the IAM service account. Right. So it's pretty much simple. What are the other simplicity along with security? So you, while coding using Google client libraries, you would not need to set credentials as you do in the case of service account keys, right? The line of code is less generally. Same code can run across environment from dev to production using ADC, right? So you would not require different code for your local testing and different code for in GK deployment. The same code can go and work. You will not need Kubernetes secrets. No need to configure secret as environment variable in deployment file. No keys rotation burden, no burden of vault to manage the keys, right? So these are all benefit of using workload identity. Thanks for listening today, and I hope we learn high level what is workload identity and what is the advantage of using it. Okay, let us go for workload identity, at least for GKE where you are deploying all your services. So you will not need any service account keys. Your services in GKE can connect with other APIs, for example